Good morning and welcome to another vitamin with me, Bonnie B. We're going to pick back up in the Apocrypha. We're going to continue to move forward as we continue to learn about fear and the fact that fear has no place other than the fear of God. Right here. Alright, we're going to go back up here to 15. Okay. Start at 14. Let's take it back. Apocrypha Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 14. Recap verses, verse 3. But they were sleeping that night, which were indeed intolerable, and which came upon them out of the bottomless of the inevitable hell. They were partly vexed with monstrous apparitions, and partly fainted, their hearts failing them for a sudden fear, and not looked for, it came upon them. So then whosoever that fell down was straitly kept, shut up in a prison without iron bars, shut up in the prison of their minds. For whether he was husbandman or shepherd, or a laborer in the field, he was overtaken and endured the necessities which could not be avoided. For they were all bound with one chain of darkness, whether it were a whistling wind or melodious noise of birds among the spreading branches, or a pleasing fall of water running violently, or a terrible sound of stones cast down, or a running that could not be seen of skipping beasts, or a roaring voice of most savage wild beasts, or a rebounding echo from a hollow mountain. These things made them swoon in fear. For the whole world shined with clear light, and none were hindered in their labor. Over them only was the spread of a heavy night, and imagine of that darkness which should afterwards receive them. But yet were they unto themselves more grievous than the darkness. Their own minds had turned things that were natural, the water running, the brooks, the birds. Their mind, the images in their mind, changed the natural scope of these things and made these things scary to these people. The darkness did that. The darkness just covered the night. That's all it did. Then the tormentors come out. The tormentors live in your mind. They are your imaginings, your worst thoughts, and insecurities, and aberrations that have formulated into things that were never meant to harm you. Trees become monsters. Stone, the water, the howling of the wolf. In the daytime it didn't bother you. At night it scared the crap out of you. Imaginations. Chapter 18. Full glasses. But that's okay. segment. Chapter 18. Nevertheless, thy saints had a very great light, whose voice they hearing and not seeing their shape, because they also had not suffered the same things, they counted them happy. But for that they did not hurt them now, of whom they had been wronged before, they thanked them and besought them pardon, for that they had been enemies. Instead, whereof thou gravest them a burning pillar of fire, both to be guide of the unknown journey, and harness sun to entertain them honorably. For they were worthy to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness, who had kept thy son shut up, by whom the uncorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world. And when they determined to slay the babes of the saints, one child being cast forth and saved to remove them, thou tookest away the multitude of the children and destroyed them all together in the mighty water. Of the night they were our fathers certified afore, that assuredly knowing unto what oaths they had given credence, that they might afterwards be of good cheer. So, of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteousness and the destruction of the enemies. For wherewith thou didst punish our adversaries, by the same thou didst glorify us, whom thou hast called. For the righteous children of good man did sacrifice secretly, and with one consent made a holy law, that the saints should be alike partakers of the same good and evil. The fathers now singing out the songs of praise. But on the other side there sounded an ill according cry of the enemies, and the lamentable noises was carried abroad for the children that were bewailed. So this is talking about the story of Moses. When Pharaoh's people came in and they took all them babies, they chucked them all in the river. It said God made a way for one baby, because he had a job for that child. That child was Moses, the bringer of the law. Although the law was given by God, Moses was the one who was given to bring it forth. Okay? The master and the servant were punished after one manner, and the like as the king so suffered the common person. So they all together had innumerable dead with one kind of death. Neither were living sufficient to bury them, for in one moment the noblest offspring of them was destroyed. For whoever, whereas they were not believe anything, excuse me, by reason of enchantments upon the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledged this people to be the sons of God. So when the destruction went out in the land, and Pharaoh made his decree, kill, God turned around and did the same decree. Kill. Just and unjust alike. Kill them. because it was decree. It was a judgment, and it had been passed over everyone. Of course, we know God always makes provisions for his people, that they can remain, because the babies that they were losing were babies that were taken from them. And so God said, okay, alright, you want to go down, be down there and torment my people? Take the babies from them and kill their babies? Send an angel of death down there, come take your babies. How about that? That's what God did. So, and that was all the way up to chapter 18. Scripture verse. We're going to start on number 14 because we ended on 13. Okay. So, right now what we're listening to is Solomon's take on the story of Moses. That's what we're listening. That's what we're reading. That's what we're studying. Discussing. Okay. Story of Moses. And how God made that decision based off of a decree that went forth. It wasn't just God making the decision. They put it in the universe. The decree for the firstborn to all be killed. So, a little food for thought. If you didn't know that before, you know it now. The decree went forth. That's how come the angel of death had to go. But to close out fear we know is apparitions in the mind. Okay? Things that you make up in your own head. God is not the author of fear. You are. Alright. Be blessed, my beloved. Until the next daily dose. If you enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up. Check subscribe. Come on back. I'll see you again in the next daily.